What is up, Snarf Gang? It's your boy Snarf Brownie, and as you can see, I got a new mic finally after all this time after my old one broke. So, looking forward to a little bit better sound quality. Now, the camera quality may have decreased a little bit because my phone keeps running out of storage, so I have to film this on something else. But today, we will be reviewing Green Lantern Volume 3. Now, everyone typically remembers that run because it's when Kyle Rayner became a Green Lantern. Around the time of Nightfall and Emerald Twilight and Death of Superman and all that stuff. But what happened before Emerald Twilight? Well, today we're going to be reviewing issues 1 through 47 that happened before Emerald Twilight, which is all of this. It's a review I've been waiting to do for a long time, but I had to get through all this first, so that's why it took a little bit long. I'm a huge Green Lantern fan because I love the art in this series. It's really colorful. Like, the colors in the Green Lantern series are very vibrant. I really like the art. It does look a little bit off sometimes, I'm not going to lie, but I think it's kind of funny when it looks kind of off in this specific series. And you get to see a lot of cool shots of like space and stuff, and you get to see the cool constructs made from rings and stuff, because, you know, the Green Lanterns, they can make shit out of their rings. I would say our first arc is issues 1 through 8, where we see our first three Lanterns, Hal Jordan, Guy Gardner, and John Stewart, just straight chilling on Earth. And they basically, there's a couple things that happen before the main like thing of the arc, but it leads into this, which is the Rogue Guardian arc. Let me just show you some of the cover pages while we're going through it, just so you can look at them. This one's my favorite. There's the Rogue Guardian. Now, if you don't know who the Guardians are, they're basically the people who created the Green Lantern Corps, like intergalactic spacemen. Those guys are the ones that lead it. They're all super ancient, and this guy is one that defected from them a long time ago because he wanted to feel his emotions, and basically all the other Guardians like cut themselves off from all emotion in order to be like purely logical rulers of the universe, basically. But they don't technically own the universe or anything. They're just kind of like pompous douchebags who believe that they know what's right. And a lot of the time they do. So it's not just all, you know, pride, but that's basically their deal. And the Guardian, I really like this arc. I'm not going to lie. It's cool to see the Green Lanterns working together. And, you know, you get like a general sense of who Green Lantern is, and you get to meet all of them, pick your favorite. It's hard to pick a favorite, to be honest, but it's probably either Guy Gardner, Hal Jordan, or Kilowog for me. But yeah, that's the first arc. For that first arc with the Rogue Guardian, we have a Guy Gardner little arc for just Guy Gardner. So you get to learn a little bit about the most douchebaggy Lantern, and he's pretty funny. He's a daywalker ginger with a bowl cut, and he's canonically has CTE. So if that's something you're into, you should be into this character. I personally think he's hilarious. I love Guy Gardner. And for this specific little arc, let me show you the cover pages. He has to go to this like dog planet, and all of the dog people are like kind of annoying and obnoxious. So he has to work together with one. And oh, pretty spooky, right? I'm not going to spoil how that one ends, but he does have to end up working with one of the dog people, which he doesn't like, which creates a fun dynamic. So there's that arc. And then the next arc we lead into is what I like to call the Mosaic / recruitment arc, sort of, but it's sort of the recruitment arc mainly to start out with. So for that one, the three Green Lanterns go back to OA, which is the main planet. And this is also where Mosaic starts, because each of the Lanterns are given a mission. John Stewart's mission is to be a part of Mosaic, which I'll explain what it is in a second. Hal Jordan was given the mission to recruit more Green Lanterns, and Guy Gardner was given the mission to defend Earth as Earth's Green Lantern. So That's kind of cool how like they delegate their different lanterns and you get to read back and forth about what each of them are doing. So the first 3 issues after that are the Mosaic Saga. So Mosaic is basically one city from like a bunch of different alien planets that are all put on OA as sort of an experiment, so the Guardians can, try to figure out how to get alien societies to peacefully coexist with each other. And they put Jon Stewart there as the peacekeeper for that whole thing. And I'm not going to spoil what happens, but let's just say I'd be kind of pissed if I had his job. I'm not going to lie. Then it cuts back to the recruitment arc. This is a lady that becomes a Green Lantern, and you get to see some other classic Green Lantern stuff here. Guy Gardner gets his own issue again. And I'm not going to show you the cover to this one because it spoils. So, sorry, you don't get to see it. So this issue focuses on, I'm pretty sure, more recruitment stuff. But it also introduces this important character, Flicker. And I'm not going to say too much about him because he does become important later on. But basically, he's just a really fast guy. He's got a yellow whip and he's known for, I'm pretty sure, intergalactic smuggling. So this is where Flicker's introduced if you're looking for, I don't know if it's a key or not, but if it is a key and you like Flicker, I would look into that. But I don't know who likes Flicker, but he was actually a lot more interesting of a villain than I thought he would be because his name's not that cool. So there's that. But that's just really a sort of the, not end of the recruitment arc because it's sort of an ongoing thing, but that is just sort of one issue that's its own thing before we transition into the Star Sapphire arc of this volume of the Green Lantern. Every Green Lantern's run has got to have at least one Star Sapphire arc. Come on, she's an iconic character of the series, and her dynamic with Green Lantern is one of the best in the Green Lantern universe. So we get to see the return of Star Sapphire. There's the cover for that one, and here's the other 2. I'm not going to spoil what happens, but the Star Sapphire arcs are always some of my favorites. You're going to enjoy the Star Sapphire arcs if you're a Green Lantern fan. I'll say that. That one's one of the best arcs. This issue, I don't really remember what happens in this, if I'm being honest. I do remember that Hal and Guy Gardner fight over some stupid shit that doesn't really matter. But I do know that it leads into this one because it has this on it. And I do remember this one. This one sets up for... it sets up for this star villain dude, and he's not like totally inconsequential. He does actually have some stake in the universe, and the arc with him is actually pretty good. It's not one of the best arcs in here. I'd say it's like a high mid tier arc is the Star Guy arc. So here are your covers there. He's basically just like a villain that wants to steal the power battery, I'm pretty sure. Nothing really super unique about him. He's just a guy that's star themed and he can shoot lasers. Kind of par for the course for as far as villains go. But I do like his design with the purple and the red. And he's got these little minion things that are pretty mysterious. So at least there's that. That kind of keeps him, fresh. All right, this is what I like to call kind of a split arc because the arc starts first issue. 2 issues are like a separate story, and then it kind of continues in the next 2, or at least I like to consider that it does, because this arc sets up Green Lantern's romantic partner options, I guess. By the way, if you like the Star Sapphire arc, don't get too hyped up for the romance in this series because they're not going to ship him with anyone. They want to keep that will they, won't they marketability open. They're never going to fully ship him with anyone, so don't get your hopes up or anything like that. The romance B plots in this, they have their interesting quirks, but ultimately they just get cut off before anything actually interesting happens because they need to keep the romance open. It's stupid. I don't like that they do that, but it's whatever. Anyway, this issue sets up another one of Green Lantern's romantic fucking whatever interests. I didn't really like it that much, to be honest. I don't like her character either. So that issue's kind of mid to me. Then we get interrupted with 2 Flash collabs. Green Lantern and Flash is a classic combo, and you get to see him fight Gorilla Grodd. It's more of a Flash story than a Green Lantern one, I'd say. Well, I mean, they're both in it, but they're fighting Gorilla Grodd, so it's. I mean, wait, actually no. I think Hector Hammond might be in this too, and he is a Green Lantern villain, and he's from way back in the Silver Age, which I'm gonna give you a little bonus at the end of this video, by the way. So be sure to stick around at the end. But the Flash arcs are always fine. If you know me, based on my preferences from other reviews, I don't really love the team up issues that much. But as time goes on, I've grown to like them a little bit more. But I'm always the kind of guy that wants to just stick to the main story. So this next issue is sort of like a setup issue to the next issue to tease this character. And then Green Lantern reunites with a low-key sus character from the Silver Age. If you know, you know. But nothing weird happens or anything. Despite what you see on the cover, it's not like that. But technically, it does set up another romantic interest-ish for Green Lantern to have in the future. But this is much less so set up to be leading towards anything romantic. And if you know the weird thing based around this character from the Silver Age, then you'll probably be happy that they did that. Anyway, moving on. All right, this arc actually has a mystery villain, so I'm not going to reveal it, but I'll give you a little hint, because it's not like a total mystery. It is someone that's appeared before, but just for that, I'm not going to reveal it. But that arc's pretty good, so that's all I have to say about that without spoiling. These next 2 issues are more romance issues too, kind of. This one's a Christmas one, and this is actually, funny story, the one that made me stop reading the series for a while. Not because I read it and then I thought it was so bad I didn't want to continue. It was just the cover of the Christmas lights being around Green Lantern. I'm just a Christmas issue. It's going to be about Christmas. But this actually is probably the best Christmas issue I've ever read. Especially with the emotional tension and I'm not going to spoil what happens in it, but I will spoil that some bullshit romance is set up that doesn't amount to anything. So I don't like that they do that, bro. Because the dynamic between the characters is good, They set up these interesting dynamics between these characters that are love interests, and then they just don't commit to any of them. So that's a little bit annoying, but they do set up more than just that in the next issue, because it does continue a little bit with the romance subplot of this, because this gets you really excited to find out what's going to happen in this. And then when you get to it, it's kind of disappointing because it just sort of stumbles and you don't really get to the conclusion that you wanted, but you do get to find something else interesting. This issue is also about football. That does come out of that. Because basically Carol Ferris, she's the one that interesting romance plot happens in the Christmas one. She's getting protected by Deathstroke, which is pretty interesting. I'm not going to spoil what happens there, but it leads into something. It's pretty, and it's builds for a while too. So that starts in this issue. Next, we got kind of a small Adam Strange arc. This one is where the romance plot of Green Lantern and Carol officially dies. Very unfortunate. Well, I think it might officially die in the next issue, but Green Lantern officially makes the decision to cut it off in these, which kind of sucks because she was always my favorite love interest throughout the Green Lantern series, but I'm not going to care about the romance plot as much as I am aliens beating ass, but that doesn't mean I didn't care about it at all. But we get to see a Green Lantern Adam Strange collab. It has to do with Adam Strange's daughter being kidnapped, mind control, fighting against abstract enemies. So if you're into that, you might like this arc. But that's all I'm going to have to say about it without spoiling. This next issue is about the Flash, I think, being mind controlled. I don't remember fully, but basically he's fucking shit up. This guy's trying to kill him to save the world because he's fucking shit up and he's the Flash, so he can move really fast and do a lot of damage. The Green Lantern's trying to stop him from killing the Flash so that he can find out what's going on and potentially save the life of his friend and find out why someone who's a hero would want to just start destroying shit out of nowhere, because, like, obviously he's not just turning evil out of nowhere. That's kind of stupid. So that's what that issue's about. And then we move on more to the Carol Ferris Deathstroke plot. This one has to do with, like, possession and, like, mystery. So that's all. I don't want to say too much more than that, but you get to see Deathstroke. So if you like Deathstroke, then you get to see him. So that's that issue. These next 3 issues are about Green Lantern battling against ancient gods that awaken on an alien planet to kill a bunch of people, basically. And a bunch of different groups get involved, each with their own motives, each fighting stuff. You get to see what is probably Green Lantern, one of Green Lantern's most powerful forms throughout of all of Green Lantern. But he's had some pretty powerful forms. This one probably doesn't crack the top 3, but it's maybe top 5. But yeah, you get to see a bunch of different groups. You get to see the Dark Stars. You get to see Lobo, but not by himself. He's like a part of a team. I don't remember what the team's called though. And this guy is one of the gods that show up that you get to see fight. So that's what this arc's about. And you get to see a lot of the other Green Lanterns fighting too. You get to see them using teamwork. You get to see a little bit of the lesser known Lanterns fight, which is fun. I always love to see all the Lanterns pull up and fight shit. So that's that arc. Next up, we have the things leading into Emerald Twilight. Spoiler alert, but Green Lantern's home, Coast City, gets completely destroyed. And he has to fight an alien menace in order to get revenge, basically. I mean, and also, they just fucking destroyed a city, so they gotta be taken out regardless. This issue is also weird, in my opinion. Hold up. This issue is kind of weird because, first off, Green Arrow just randomly gets kidnapped. And when you find out who set up this whole plot, it's kind of pathetic. I'm not going to lie. But the twist ending to this is a little bit weird. Like, it doesn't set up much. It feels like it actually closes off plot lines, which, when you know that right after this Emerald Twilight happens, it makes sense. And if they were planning Emerald Twilight, which it seems like they were for like a while, it makes sense why they made him cut off his relationship with Carol. And some of the things in this issue even hint to Emerald Twilight happening. Not like super overtly, it's pretty subtle. Probably wouldn't catch it if you didn't know what was going to happen anyway, but there are signs, I would say. And that's everything that happens before Emerald Twilight. So that's Green Lantern Volume 3, issues 1 through 47. Overall, what rating would I give this whole collection of issues? I'd probably give it a 9. I like, it's not boring. There aren't even really like super stale parts. If I had to say, I'd say maybe the Guy Gardner miniseries where he was going on the planet of dog people. I didn't enjoy that the most just because I also kind of found the dog character a little annoying, but he did have his moments that I did like. So it wasn't like a totally irredeemable arc or anything. I still enjoyed it, but typically I do like to stick to the main story. It did feel like it was somewhat unnecessary, but it did introduce Nort into the mythos. And he I'm pretty sure he actually does become important eventually. So it wasn't totally useless, but I would say that's probably the most boring arc in this. And please, DC, release a collected edition of this or something, because I had to go to shout out mycomicshop.com. I'm not sponsored or anything, but that's where I was able to find all these issues, because you can't find them in a collected edition anywhere. Like, no paperbacks, nothing. And it's a good run, so it's a real shame. If you haven't checked it out, I'd highly recommend it, especially if you're a Green Lantern fan. Now, time for that bonus review I was talking about earlier. The bonus I was talking about is a bonus review of the Green Lantern Silver Age Omnibus Volume 1, because I recently just finished it. I've been reading a lot of Green Lantern lately because I'm a huge fan of that character. And this basically collects everything since Hal Jordan appeared, as in his key issue. And let me see what it collects to actually real quick. Green Lantern Showcase 22 and 24, and Green Lantern 1 through 35. So I've read this recently, and you get to see the first appearances of a lot of really cool characters like Sapphire. Um, there's that one Green Lantern. I don't remember his name, but he's the one orangish yellow dude that's got the fin on the top and the beak. You know who I'm talking about if you're a fan of that guy. I think Mogo makes his first appearance. Sinestro. Um, who else? Who else? There's what was the name of the villain? It was like Victor. I think it was Victor Hammond or something. That might have been it. He's this Green Lantern villain who is paralyzed, but he has like an extremely powerful intellect, and he has like mild psychic powers he can use to his benefit. I wouldn't say mild; they're pretty powerful, but they ebb and flow in power depending on certain times. And you also get to have a little bit more of the fun Silver Age type villains in this series. If you are not a fan of Silver Age stuff, you might not necessarily like it. But I've read a decent amount of Silver Age stuff, and I feel like you can split the Silver Age up into two different really categories. Stuff that's around like near the start of the Silver Age, like this, and stuff that's near the end of the Silver Age that's like a lot more fleshed out, in my opinion. And I feel like when you start reading this, it starts out a lot more rough, but it fleshes out as you go along. Because the Silver Age is like a very developmental stage in comics, in my opinion. So if you're willing to put up with like a couple campy issues for like a lot of the better ideas to flesh out, and the villains start getting more interesting and the concepts start getting more interesting, then I think that a lot of people would like it, if you give it a chance. But let me give you a little guide on reading Silver Age comics real quick, because this will make it a lot more fun to read Silver Age comics. So let's take a look at some Green Lantern Silver Age right here. Okay, you see these yellow texts right here? A lot of the time, these are just explaining what happens in the picture. So if you completely can understand the story without reading these, most of the time you don't have to. Now, occasionally, there will be one that you do need to read in order to understand the story, but skip as many of these as possible because it's just extra headache reading. You don't need to read descriptions of the picture you're looking at. That's the whole point of reading a comic book. And it makes getting through stuff like this a lot more fun because you can just, appreciate the stories of the time period, and you don't have to like do all the heavy reading that they used to do back then. I guess since comics books were more of a, in the early stages of the forum, maybe they felt the need to explain things that they maybe thought the audience wasn't clear. Wasn't clear to the audience since a lot of these were targeted towards children. But I think that once you get past the showcase stuff and you start like getting more and more into the Green Lantern issues is when it starts getting really good. And it starts getting like really, really good. Sort of, it's not bad near the beginning. I will say that it dips a little bit in certain parts, like some issues you're not going to be looking forward to. I personally stopped reading during certain periods, like the Flash team up issue. No, I don't dislike the Flash by any means, but I'm more of a single issue, single story type of guy. Like I don't typically like the other heroes to team up. I feel like it takes attention off the one hero's arc they're going through, and I think a lot of the time it does disrupt from the ongoing story. But Silver Age stuff's a lot more episodic, but it's not at the same time. There are ongoing plot lines that are set up, like the Carol Ferris relationship. I really like the way it's that it is in the Silver Age, and you actually get the sense that it will eventually progress. Unlike, it never does though. That's another thing I don't like, but it's just always going to be a thing in comics. I'm just going to have to accept that. Either the relationships will never happen, or if they do happen, they'll eventually get retconned or something so that they can try for something more interesting that's not as stale. But what are you going to do? I would give the Silver Age, in terms of story, a 7 out of 10, and I would give it, in terms of art, a 7.5 out of 10. Not to say that it's bad by any means, but I will say that in terms of I've read some pretty good comic books. It's primitive, but that's part of the Silver Age, and I fuck with the Silver Age, so that's okay with me. But that's the rating it's getting. Anyway, that was my review of Green Lantern Silver Age Omnibus Part Volume 1 and Green Lantern, the Volume 3, Issues 1 through 47. Before I go, I have one last thing to announce. Since I finished everything leading up to Emerald Twilight, I am finally getting around to it. That's right, the Green Lantern Kyle Rayner Compendium that I've been putting off reading because I didn't read what was leading up to it first, because I respect the order of the run. I ain't no damn part skipper. I'm even reading the Silver Age shit, bitch. So, yeah, I'm finally going to get around to the Kyle Rayner stuff, and I'm finally going to read Emerald Twilight, and I've been wanting to read it for so long, so I'm hyped. I remember one of you was really looking forward for me to reviewing that one in my comments, so I actually sped up reading those Green Lantern issues just for you so I could get around to it, buddy. So don't think I didn't remember that. I didn't forget about you, buddy. I may have forgotten your name, but I didn't forget what you wanted. Snarf out.